Good afternoon. Welcome back. 2 p.m. with the Trigger, Friday edition of 2 p.m. with the Trigger. And let me start off with asking another question here today. How authentic are you through the camera lens? How authentic and real? And do you think there's a benefit to being authentic through the camera lens? We're going to get into that today because the power of you connecting through the camera is so important, whether you're doing a podcast, a streaming show, whether you're doing an interview, whether you're connecting with your staff around the world, because we're all doing that now. How authentic are you when you're communicating through the camera lens? Now, let me preface that a little bit because a polished presentation is always important. You don't want to look like a slob. You don't want to look like you didn't prepare. So there is a polished side to you being also authentic. But where's that line of being overly produced, overly like, "Ooh, I'm a rock star all the time," and being real and authentic? We're going to get into that. And the reason we're getting into that a little bit is I've been recently been watching the morning show streaming on Apple TV. I highly recommend the TV show. Jennifer Aniston's in it. The all-star cast is in it. And last night's episode that I was watching, they really went deep into the idea of being authentic. How far do you push it through the camera lens? How far is too much for, and in this case, celebrity news journalism people to really bare their soul and be real, because you want to get to know them. But are there certain things that are off the table that you don't want to share? It was a very compelling episode of taking off the mask, being real, but also being professional while you're being professional. And it does have implications for us. It does have direct correlation to what we do as you create your media empire. As you every day you hear me say, I'm going to help you shine on camera, shine on stage to elevate you and your brand authority. I want you to shine. I want you to have that pop and sizzle, but I also want you to be real and be authentic with it. So why do you want to be authentic? What is really the benefit of being authentic? I'm going to rattle off several things here and we'll get down to the meat of this, but it's going to build trust. You being authentic through this camera lens builds trust. When you're honest, when you're true, when you're your natural self as much as possible. It's kind of hard sometimes when you have camera, lights, people on the edge of you, and they're all telling you what to do at the same time. You may have an earpiece in you. It's sometimes hard to be your real true self, but be your best version of yourself, and it builds trust. It's the foundation for a relationship. And remember, that's what we do every day. If you're doing streaming content like I do, if you do talk shows like I do, you're building a relationship through the camera lens. Now, you might not ever meet those people face to face, but they want to know they can trust you. They want to know that you're going to bring proper, good information and you're their friend. And that's the best thing. When you hear that, I feel like I know you. I feel like we've connected. That's the credibility and the trust you're going to build by being authentic and real. And it's relatable. Number two here is, why do you want to do this? It's relatable. When you show your audience that you're not perfect, when you're connecting them in a more authentic nation, that nature will help you connect deeper with them. You get into their humanity. You get into your struggles. You get into the fact that not everything is perfect at home, but the show goes on, right? We've all heard that, but you get more relatable and people get more drawn to you, which builds more trust. So it also differentiates you from many other people. The further you go into this crazy business of media, entertainment, broadcasting, where many of us would like to go, because I hear it every day. People call me, they talk to me, they want to know how far can this go. Part of it is that you do want to differentiate yourself from the other people. You don't want to look like every news station. That's part of what that TV show is wrestling with when we talk about the morning show TV show. They've clearly talked about the other stations doing this, the other stations having that guest on. Let's change it up. Let's do something different. And you want to differentiate yourself from other people. Set yourself apart in a way. And part of it is that authentic nature, that breaking the glass that I often talk about. The breaking of the glass and building a relationship through the camera lens is dynamic. And it's a major game changer. It's going to raise your audience engagement, by the way. When you're more authentic with your audience, when you're more real with your audience, you will invite your audience into the journey of life. Let me say that again. You invite people into the journey of life. That's why often we tune in to certain people. I've got my favorites. There's some people that I identify with, I feel like I know them now. And that's why every day sometimes you turn in to their audio podcasts. Sometimes you read their blogs. Sometimes you'll catch every short they do and you subscribe to their channels because you are now participating in the journey with them and you can't wait for the next leg of the journey. That's what being authentic about. But I think this final part of why it's important to think about this, I think this is the biggest one. It will create longevity for you. Let me say it will create longevity for you. This is huge because we want our podcast, we want our streaming shows, we want them to have a long life. We don't want to do 10 episodes and we're done. Again, remember, most podcasters never even make it to episode 10. But those that are making it to 200 to 300, that's what you want. You want longevity, but you don't want it just for the sake of the numbers. You want it to matter. And the best way to do it is to be authentic, be real, and connect with the people that you want to talk to. Brands and content creators who consistently stay true to themselves have a longer life. And they break through the media in whole new ways. So that's some of the reason you want to be authentic. That's some of the things you want to get into. So how do you do this better? How do you actually get into it and do this? First of all, you've got to learn to relax and you've got to be vulnerable. Because like I said at the beginning, there's that polished side, there's that production side, there's that, oh, I'm so cool. No, there's a side that you also want to be vulnerable through that. Hey, I often reveal how my week is going right here at 2 p.m. with the trigger. I'll often let you know the highs and lows. I'll tell you straight up right now, for those of us in the streaming media, broadcast style content stuff, trying to secure clients, trying to keep the engine going right now in this current economy, in the current fear cycle that we're experiencing, in the confusion of the politics and the lay of the land, it's not easy. It's not easy for me and the Rock the Stage. It's not easy for many of the people that I work with and talk with. Not easy for many of my colleagues. We call each other. We talk to each other about what's working for you, what's not working for you. Do you feel that it's just dry right now? It's hard. It's hard. And it's hard, everybody. No matter what business you're in right now, it's hard. It's okay to admit that. And that's part of the vulnerability. But then through the vulnerability, if you share the challenges, you share the setbacks, and then you share how you overcame it, what you learned through it, that's where that vulnerability pays off. Because they're going to come back to you and they're going to say, I trust you. I know you. Maybe you figured it out today. And if you're going to be vulnerable, you'll take them on that journey and your listeners, your viewers will love you even more. Some of the most painful things that journalists have gone through, they end up putting on the camera. When I went through my liver transplant, when I was sliding down and I was medically not doing well at all, very close to near death, not an exaggeration at all. My face was sunken in. I had the raccoon, the dark eyes, and I was on camera. I was sharing my life, my journey with people. I wanted them to know where I was at. I wanted them to know that I needed funding to get the transplant, to keep my medication, to move on because I couldn't work. So I was extremely vulnerable to the point where a couple friends said, it's time to be less vulnerable and you need to go high because you don't look cool at all anymore and it's creeping us out. That's the line you want to protect. You want to figure out where the line of vulnerability is, where that line of being real with people is, and you want to hold that line and maintain the integrity, the respect, because people do not want you to go over that line. So what else? Authentic language, I think, is huge in the idea of being real and vulnerable. Sometimes we get on these cameras, these shows, the interviews, and we think we got to show our academic language. It's just also just dropping out of anywhere. It's like, I haven't used that word in forever. Where did that come from? The more real you are, the more down to earth you will relate to a bigger audience on a deeper level. We've studied this and studied this. Broadcasters, communicators, we know the average communication level of written and communication is 7th grade. Now, I know there's a lot of academia, there's a lot of intelligent people. We do not want to talk down to people. But if you're going to reach people and really break the glass and talk to them, you want to do it in your common everyday language. It was a bad day. It stunk. It was a rough day. I just wanted to pull up the covers and go back to bed because it wasn't good. Being real and authentic, building those relationships with real words that paint the image, it might feel unnatural sometimes. It might feel like I got to keep the appearance up. I have to sound like I'm in control. And let's admit it. Let's admit it. We're not in control very much in our lives. And that's the vulnerability that people want to know about, that they're not alone wrestling with the things that you're wrestling with and that they're wrestling with. The power of being real and being authentic. Everyone's got to figure out where that line is for themselves. Depends on what you're trying to communicate, who you're trying to communicate to. It depends on your safety that you have yourself. But I do know that real and authentic nature will break through anything you try to sell, promote, push. Being authentic and real creates a brand that's highly deep in relationship. It's authentic. They know they can trust you. When you say you're going to give a full refund because you know it was bad, it didn't work out the way you wanted, they're going to love you. When you get on and say, hey, we really apologize, technical difficulties, we're not making it up, we're going to redo that, we're going to do this, do that, people will love you. How authentic do you dare to be? In this world of new media crashing in all of our world, we are watching it, consuming it, drinking it up. We're all looking at it saying, how big can we go? How powerful can it be? Lean into the world of being authentic through the camera lens. One of the best advice that I give all my coaching clients is that camera is your wife, your girlfriend, your children, your best friend. That camera is someone you can be real with. You can be authentic. You can be intimate with. So there it is for the day. How real, how authentic are you with what you're doing as you're communicating? Do it with profession. Do it with class. Do it with pop and sizzle. But if you want that longevity that I first talked about at the very beginning, you're going to want to definitely be real. By the way, coming up, we have a special event next Tuesday, October the 10th. We're going to be doing a 90-minute training session, and it's just on interview skills. It's tough to be interviewed. You get nervous, you get anxious, the words don't flow the way you want. You can't remember that story you want to tell. Whether you're a author, whether you're a CEO, whether you're a coach for a football team or basketball team, you're interviewed. I'm going to give you some pro tips, things that we as broadcasters know we've been trained in. It will help you shine brighter. It will help you be more confident on camera. It will give you tips to even have the most disastrous of interviews, and you can save it because you are prepared with better quality tips and tricks. Hit the QR code, register for this, and also there is a discount code. You want to use a discount code before Monday. Rockstar_interview. Rockstar_interview. Save on the event. Come and join us, and we will help you elevate your skills and be a rock star interview guest for anything that you appear on. And that's going to do it for the day. I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. We'll see you back here next week once again, where we help you shine on camera, shine on stage, elevate you and your brand authority. 2 p.m. with the Trigger.